Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Dan Fates here, flying solo. Gonna break down, recap, tell you what I know about Hopkins Watch as we continue, as everything has ramped up over the last 48 hours. Wanted to take some time, kind of digest it all, ask some people that I know what is true, what isn't true, where are the Bills in all of this. Kind of figure it all out and then relay it to you guys, the viewers. So before we get started though, if you haven't liked, comment, and subscribed on the channel, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. If you already do, we appreciate it as always. Comment in with your thoughts on, this isn't a circus, but all of this noise that is going on. Would you like DeAndre Hopkins? Where do you think he does for this offense? Do you think he turns them back into back end? Does he think he takes them to that next level of once again being a Super Bowl odds favorite for the Bills? All right, so here's what we know. Let's break it all down. There is a lot of smoke around DeAndre Hopkins over the last 48 hours. Now, we are in a day and age and in a time and in this league scenario where we are deciphering cryptic posts on social media now, it seems like every single day. This month alone, we have done it with Stephon Diggs, we have done it with Ed Oliver, and now we have done it as well with DeAndre Hopkins, who has been rumored to be on the trade market, like I said, for quite some time, going back to last year's trade market. But Ian Rappaport of NFL Network saying that the trade talks have been ramping up this week. And so DeAndre Hopkins on Wednesday night posted a picture of himself in a car, seemingly driving away with Bob Marley's Buffalo Soldier playing over the post with the lyrics, saying that he's a Buffalo Soldier. So what does it all mean? And I can tell you there's a lot of smoke. I can also tell you there is some real fire to this smoke to go along with it. We've heard this is nothing new. This is going to be groundbreaking, but you've heard it from NFL Network, multiple sources that the Bills are in the mix for Hopkins. Pat McAfee show, they talked about it as well. I am told from multiple people, yes, the Bills are interested. They are interested in the 5-time All-Pro. The caveat there is for the right price. Now, what is that right price? I'm being told, and my understanding is that they are asking that the Cardinals want more than what the Houston Texans got from Dallas in the Brandon Cooks trade. And in that case, Houston got a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and they actually split the salary is what it seems like. They got half the salary. Dallas would pick up half the salary. Houston would pick up the other half. That is what Houston got for Brandon Cooks. Arizona wants more than that. So that is where it is. And that is what I'm being told is going to be the sticking point on where this goes. DeAndre Hopkins is a great wide receiver. His best seasons are probably behind him. I don't think that's a stretch. I'm not saying that that doesn't make him a great wide receiver right now, but his best years were in Houston. He goes to Arizona. Over the last 2 years, he's battled injury. He's also battled suspension. Only played 9 games last year, and I'll get to those games. But I think the Bills should really be in the mix here. I think, have said this before, and I actually said this going into training camp last year. I think the wide receiver room is one of the weaker rooms in this Bills roster. And I had said that last year going into training camp when everybody was very high on Gabriel Davis. I just said the 1-2 punch of Diggs and Davis doesn't stack up to some of the elite wide receiving duos that there are in the NFL. So I went and looked it up. For the wide receivers that are currently on the Bills roster, these are regular season stats. Stephon Diggs has 703 receptions in his career. The other 4 Bills wide receivers that are currently on the roster, Davis, Khalil Shakir, Deontay Hardy, as well as Trent Sherfield, combined have 259. DeAndre Hopkins has 853 receptions. I think the wide receiver room is weak, and I think Hopkins takes him to a whole nother level. That being said, Hopkins is going to be 32 years old by the start of next season, I believe. He's 31 right now. He's turning 32 in June. I think his best years are behind him, but I think he is a difference maker in this offense because guess what, guys? While I said he's battled injuries and suspension, Hopkins last year in 9 games had 737 yards. And you could say, okay, wow, like what's the big deal? It's a bigger deal when you realize that in 5 of those games, he had Colt McCoy or Trace McSorley throwing him the football. This guy can still ball out. And this is one of the pieces that I think you need, that Josh Allen needs. And I'll throw another thing at you. If DeAndre Hopkins comes to the Bills, Hopkins will be the best wide receiver that Stephon Diggs has ever played with, and vice versa. Stephon Diggs will be the best wide receiver that DeAndre Hopkins has ever played with. And while I'm excited and I think Bean can get a move done, I don't think this says that you're some all in. His contract will have to be reworked. But Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network says that Hopkins isn't looking for the most money. He's looking for the best fit. As I said, 32 years old. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to be an impact player. I think he can have as much of an impact as much as I wanted Odell Beckham Jr. I think Hopkins can have a very, very similar effect and impact on this offense. The sticking point, like I said, will be what's the compensation. And Hopkins, from what the reports are out there, he's going to need to restructure his contract. He's set to make about $19.5 million next season. And I am a guy who says the salary cap isn't real, but that still doesn't work. So they're going to have to rework that. So it's how much can a new deal, because when Hopkins signed in Arizona, he pretty much reset the wide receiver market in every way. So that will need to be reworked. But I go back to it, and before I start celebrating and thinking the Bills have done it, Bean's going to get this done, there's, absolutely. I remember 2 years ago, during the offseason, the Bills were linked quite a bit to Zach Ertz. I don't know if you remember this, because Philadelphia at the time, they wanted to move on, go move more Dallas Goedert kind of way. And I remember I kept asking in on him, and I kept checking in. And there was always the rumors that the Bills were interested. And I had a source telling me the Bills are interested, but the price is just too high. The asking price was just too high. And it stayed too high the entire time. And Brandon Beane didn't back down from what his price of what he wanted to pay. So this went on and on and on. So that's my one caveat to all this. The Bills are interested. It's not just smoke. There is real fire. He wants to come and play in the best fit. I think he fits instantly into the wide receiver room as wide receiver number 2 or 2B, depending on where you see Gabe Davis. But I think that 1-2-3 punch that could be of Diggs, Hopkins, and Davis could be in the top 5 of the NFL. And I think that is what Josh Allen needs. I think this is what this offense needs. Inject some life into it. I've said I love the Damian Harris signing, but this is a real big move, because right now I think the wide receivers of Diggs, Davis, Shakir, Hardy, and Sherfield is kind of a weak room. And you can disagree, and that's fine. I've also come around a little bit. Hand up, I can say that offensively, Trent Sherfield is probably better than Jake Kumerow, and that's fine. I also think Hardy's wide receiver, or Sherfield is wide receiver number 5. And I hope it stays that way, and I hope Hardy's solid as number 4. But whether you had Davis at 2A and Hopkins as 2B or vice versa, he would be a massive piece. But Brandon Beane will not overspend. He understands that, he's a guy that says he doesn't put anything on credit cards because he doesn't want to have that hanging over his head. I just think that there is legitimate interest. I think the Bills are absolutely in the running. It's just a matter of what will it take, and will Hopkins rework his deal to some respect to make it more team friendly so that it works out. All right. Good. So there it is again. Hopkins has got cryptic tweets about Buffalo Soldier. I can tell you that the Bills are interested, but it's for the right price. It's going to have to be more than a 5th and a 6th. That is what Houston got for Brandon Cooks. I can tell you that the Bills have a massive hole in their wide receiver room that still needs to be addressed. And that's why when people were saying, Hardy and Sherfield, I don't think those signings deterred the Bills from going out and getting a bigger name wide receiver like a Odell, like a Hopkins. I don't think it deters them, the Hardy and Sherfield signing, of drafting a wide receiver high in the first round or in the second round. So a lot to still be made out of it, but there is real smoke. And the thought of Beane has done deals like Stephon Diggs to bring in pieces and to help this offense, because, man, a bird in the hand is better than a bird in the basket. And you know what you have in DeAndre Hopkins. And again, I'll tell you, really half a season, 9 games, 737 yards, and half of those games he played with Colt McCoy and Trace McSorley. Give him Josh Allen. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, give Trent Sherfield, give Deontay Hardy Josh Allen and see what they can do. That's fine. But a 5-time All-Pro is different than a role player on some other offenses. So that is where my excitement is with the thought of what DeAndre Hopkins can do in this offense. I think he'd have a bigger impact than Emmanuel Sanders and what his role was. But man, it would be tough to try and cover this offense if you add DeAndre Hopkins. So that is what I can tell you. We'll break it all down. Again, we will stay posted as anything comes up. We'll keep you posted here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. But as for right now, it's still smoke, but there's a little fire to go along with it. That's what I can tell you here. So again, comment in below on if you want Hopkins and do you think that makes them Super Bowl contenders? Because I think it does. I think right now they're a step below the top tier of the Chiefs, Eagles, Bengals. I think that they're not going to be the betting favorite, and that's fine. And Jordan Poyer coming back said that they're going to lie in the weeds and they're just going to keep working and not have all that Super Bowl hype. I think the Hopkins deal, if it gets done, sets them back into the stratosphere of the Super Bowl favorite. I really do. All right, they still have to figure out middle linebacker. We'll come back on here. We'll break it all down as always as deals come up. But again, they're interested in Hopkins for the right price. The salary cap isn't real, but there will have to be some things that will be reworked. All right, I appreciate it as always. Checking in here, the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate it as always. Mike and Jenna will be back the next time you see this video. But again, Hopkins Watch continues for now. Appreciate it as always. Have a good one.